Pokemon Legends Arceus. Arceus? However you choose to pronounce it, you could be of the opinion that this is the true Gen 4 Pokemon remake for one reason or another. But what makes this game truly superior to Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl is that you can get Rowlet as a starter, which is objectively the best starter choice of all time. I'm obviously not biased or anything, it's not like my channel logo makes my favorite Pokemon obvious or anything. The game came out about 10 days ago, and I wanted to answer the question faster than anyone else. Can you beat Pokemon Legends Arceus with only a Rowlet? But stop right there. Due to the nature of these kind of videos, there will be content spoilers. If you don't want to be spoiled, then you should come back after you've played the game. I personally limited how much I watched because I didn't want spoilers myself, but now that it's been a week and a half, you should be fine. But hello everyone, my name is Trevor, I go by TheMrTrails, welcome to the channel. I know I say this as a generic YouTube thing all the time, but if you like this video, then like the video. This video took a long time to make, not only from the production side of things, but from the actual gameplay side of things. By the time I'm done here, this probably took about 80 to 100 hours to make. It takes you probably less than 2 seconds to like the video, and the more likes this video gets, the more likely I would do something similar in the future and put the same effort into such a video. Thanks for listening to my TED Talk. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. We play with fictional monsters from video games around here all the time. Now let's get this started. So, I boot up the game for the first time, and I immediately talk to God and name myself the Birb Master. And for some reason after that, God steals my phone and knocks me unconscious. You'd think God would be a little nicer. When I wake up, I find myself on a beach, face to face with the bestest Birb, front and center. I immediately wonder what Rowlet's doing with these ruffian starter rejects, but I guess the game designers thought they should make the starter choice for this game easy. There's a human Jumpluff hybrid accompanying them, and it tells me that I just fell out of the sky. And I think, yeah, cause I'm a Birb, but apparently I was also transformed into a human. Now obviously, Rowlet can't be the only Pokemon you catch, because if that's the challenge, then you fail immediately, because you actually have to catch all 3 of the starters. But the rule for the challenge is basically that we have to use only our Rowlet in battle. We are not going to evolve it, because why the hell would you? It's already perfect. And I hear Hisuian Decidueye is ugly anyway. And there are other things you can do with a Pokemon in the game, for which we will only be using a Rowlet to do those things. This game is a lot more about catching Pokemon than the others, so you're going to have more than just the one Pokemon in your party most of the time, and we're going to use this space to evolve some Pokemon. I catch all 3 of the starters, and apparently that just immediately makes me the most qualified Pokemon catcher that this important organization has ever seen. But this is mainly because Pokeballs were invented, like, yesterday. The quote, professor introduces us to a few other people, and we are, quote, treated to dinner, and you immediately sort of know that something's weird about this place. But easily the weirdest thing here is that they say the protagonist looks about 15 years old. Starting Pokemon training at 15 years old in the normal Pokemon universe is the equivalent of starting a job when you're 90 in our universe. Cause like, you see a ton of trainers literally retire at 12 years old in other games. Then we have obviously not Dawn helping us around the next day, and she is obviously not trying too hard when she says the lamest pickup line of all time. So the professor and not Dawn get us initiated into the Galaxy Expedition team, and the commander lady says that since she hears I caught 3 Pokemon like the Chad I am, she's going to make me catch 3 more, and if I don't, she's going to feed me to the wild Pokemon. Yeah, this game is kinda honestly a bit of a dark Pokemon game. The professor realizes that you're probably going to die without a Pokemon of your own, so he finally lets us choose our starter, and he made it seem as if I had a choice in the matter. Come on guy. Birb Master, Birb, it's pretty obvious which one I'm picking. But before we're able to go Pokemon catching, this traveler guy wants to battle us. He has a Togepi as his starter. Foreshadowing. My level 5 Rowlet starts with 91 HP for some reason. I'm not sure what the heck that's about, but hell, I'll take it. And what's also crazy cool is that you can actually move around during the Pokemon battles now, which is probably the best thing ever. Once you get him out of the way, they take you to the base camp, where you can finally start playing the game, sort of. It's obviously going to hold your hand a bunch through this, because even the grittiest of Pokemon veterans can easily be confused by these these new systems. You immediately see that the game is just like with the starters, you don't actually have to battle Pokemon to capture them in this game. And each Pokemon has their own preferences or restrictions of how you're going to have to catch them. Some of them you will have to battle first, some of them are very prone to wanting to battle, but others are very prone to running away from you. Then there's some that straight up don't care about your existence until they feel threatened. And you get a taste of those personalities here, being with Bidoof, who doesn't really care, Starly, who will do everything to avoid you, and Shinx, who has insatiable bloodlust for you. With the aggressive Pokemon that make you battle them, a lot of times you'll just throw a ball on turn 1 and they are chill. So after catching all the Pokemon, we have passed the test, and we're allowed to live. But not just living, we're going to be serving in the military survey corps. Our first test now that we're in the military is a sumo match with the head kahuna, which we fail miserably. We're given our allowance, taught how to make Pokeballs with our bare hands, and given the Pokedex. It's not the fancy gadget kind, it's more like a Rolodex, which is like if you had the contacts list from your phone on paper with all that information. And then it's from here on that we're finally allowed to actually play the game. So what else would I do other than catch literally every Bidoof in the area? Pokemon Rusty vibes. Again, Pokemon Legends Arceus is much different than other Pokemon games in that you have a much larger emphasis on catching the Pokemon instead of just mass murdering them. And this game is much more exploratory, and it's honestly a great change of pace from the rest of the series. We basically got to explore a bit, but before we could really progress to the next area of the game, we had to increase our research rank. Oh, but yeah, we are doing a Rowlet only challenge, not just a regular playthrough. If you're wondering how Rowlet did in this opening section, then don't, because it's entirely possible that people doing casual playthroughs would have only used a Rowlet to this point. The beginning of the game is basically catch a bunch of stuff, get attacked by some Shinx, and stomp some Shinx into the ground. I spent probably a half hour or so wandering around and catching stuff. Once we returned to town and leveled up our research rank, we went to bed, and the next morning our new friend Akari wants to have a battle with us. This battle is where I first learned about the new battling mechanics. In Legends Arceus, not only do Pokemon have speeds, but the moves have speeds as well. And the thing is, if your Pokemon uses fast enough moves, you can actually attack multiple times in a row. Akari's Pikachu not only has quick attack, but I got paralyzed literally every time she used an electric attack. And the thing is, the game hasn't taught you this mechanic yet, so I was a bumbling idiot trying to figure out why every other turn her Pikachu got to attack twice. I just figured they made quick attack extremely OP for some reason, which they kind of did. But to this point, you pretty much outsped everything given that you have a starter Pokemon, so I didn't really notice anything different about the battle system until that point. And seeing as it was one of the first battles in the game, it was still a first try victory, partially because I was already overleveled. I only needed to use Leafage twice to take out her Pikachu, but I kept getting paralyzed. Thankfully, Rowlet learns Roost early in this game, so I was able to use that a few times as to not waste all of my potion. But this battle did take 3 minutes because of paralysis cheese and having to heal because of it. After this battle, we meet Zisu, who can train a Rowlet to learn additional moves. And here's where she also explains how battle turns work, and how strong and agile style moves work. Basically, a strong style move makes you move slower, but deal more damage, and an agile style move makes you move faster, but dealing less damage. Both use more power points of the move to activate, and I swear this information becomes relevant to the sense of this challenge. Because we are using a stage 1 Pokemon, there are a lot of situations where we have to use an agile style move to get any sort of advantage over our opponent. I check in with Zisu once we're done with the cutscenes, and she actually gives us a few solid move options for Rowlet. Aerial Ace, Magical Leaf, and Swift at level 12 is a pretty solid moveset. All of these moves can't miss, and they have an array of type coverage. And it was finally at this point where I learned how to nickname Pokemon, and thus we ventured into the world with our round boy. So our first real quest of the game is to talk to Mai of the Diamond Clan, who wants to battle us with her Munchlax. And yeah, this battle was a bit of an issue. Munchlax knows Rollout, and it seems like the AI in this game is pretty good, so it will always use Rollout because it's super effective. It's kind of weird since the entire plot is these people knowing nothing about Pokemon. I tried a strong style Gust on it, and it did literally no damage. And then Rollout two-shot me without me getting to do anything. Honestly, I didn't have full HP though, so it probably could have been possible at this point, especially with having more knowledge of the game and now it works now, but I didn't know any better, so I decided to start grinding a little. Since when has anyone said that they needed to grind to defeat a level 10 Munchlax? So I caught some more Buizels, Drifloons, and grabbed some more resources. And I was actually able to level up my Pokedex to 2 stars. Once I did that, I tried to fight again at level 16. By this point, I had mastered Leafage. I do about a quarter of its health with each Leafage, and it does about a third of mine with Rollout. I got it into the red thanks to a Rollout miss, but then it crit me. Fantastic, but seeing that it was going to be possible at least, I fought again. This time I seemed to get a couple of high rolls on my first 2 leafage and was able to cap off the victory with a strong style leafage. And now that we had unlocked a new area, I went around catching a bunch of stuff. The next main task at hand was to face an Alpha Kricketune. I think Alpha Pokemon were also given good AI because this thing gets Aerial Ace and will spam it on me. So back to grinding, but this grinding was entirely unnecessary. I came back at level 20, only now to think, can I actually catch this thing? And yes you can. So I wasted about a half hour grinding when I could have just tried to catch the thing. Nice. So after wrapping that up and more dinner with Akari and the professor, we head to the commander's office, but we're stopped outside because we ran into the leaders of the Diamond and Pearl clan, Adaman and Irida. We meet with them and the commander in the office, where we're tasked with figuring out why one of the Pokemon nobles of the land, Cleavor, has gone crazy. I decided to mess around with some side quests first, as well as catching a bunch of things in the newer areas I was able to access. I ran into the Alpha Bibarel across the river, who proceeded to one-shot me with Icy Wind. Surely a random Pokemon having a super effective move that would end up killing me wouldn't be a trend, right? Yeah, no, that happened like a ton in this challenge. I caught a few more Pokemon like Psyduck and Baniri, and once I was done looking at the surroundings, I went to the arena where I would then be able to face off with Leon of the Pearl clan, who tends to Cleavor. Because of the sheer number of Pokemon that I've caught at this point, I was level 25, so his level 15 Gumi was not an issue for me. We were over leveled for a good bit, but there's a good reason why, being literally the next battle. After we battle Leon, we head back to town to discuss potential ways that we would be able to calm Cleavor down. Once we figure it out, we set out for the Fieldlands, but before we could do anything, Mai came along and had us meet with Weirdeer, her noble. There we meet Adaman again, who gives us the Celestica Flute. With the Celestica Flute, we are now able to summon Weirdeer to give us a ride throughout the areas. We also get the Mind Plate from it, the first piece of the Arceus Plate puzzle. I then once again ran around for 10 minutes battling and catching a bunch of Pokemon. Then I made my way to the arena, where I would have to face off with Irida in battle. She has a level 17 Glaceon, which being 4 times weak to ice, that's obviously an issue. Aerial Ace only did about half of its health, she moves first and does more damage to me with Powder Snow. So even though I'm 10 levels above her, this battle would need me to get a crit, which in hindsight I could have perhaps spent more time trying to crit farm throughout this run. I instead opted to just grind and catch some more stuff because I was having fun with those aspects of gameplay. This grinding session would prove to be a bit more eventful than the other ones, because I ran into someone. That's right, God decided he was going to show himself to me in his true form. Only 6 hours of playtime into this new game and I found myself my first shiny. Let's see how many shinies I end up finding in this journey, because shinies are way too easy to get in this game. After another 20 minutes of catching and knocking out random Pokemon, I was able to achieve rank 3 of the Pokedex. I had a level 27 Rowlet by the time I unlocked Great Balls. Fantastic progression. I then tried out my first mass outbreak on Wurmples, which was uneventful, but it would prove to be helpful later. I also got up the courage to venture past the Alpha Snorlax, blocking off most of where I had yet to be in the Obsidian Fieldlands, and there I would find something pretty cool, being Shellos and Gastrodons. I found the Gastrodons to be good for some quick leveling, as they were a higher level than I was, but with a 4-time super effective Leaf Blade, they were pretty trivial to take out, or I could just catch them for similar results. I spent a while in this area, knocking them out and catching some other things. I ended up coming back to Irida at level 35, and honestly I didn't intend for it to be that long, but seeing as she got me down to 18 health still, I think it was okay. But because I outsped now, I was able to take it out. And now it was time to fight Cleavor. It was here that I was horribly caught off guard by the fact that I had to fight it, and not just battle it with my Rowlet, because this was my first time playing through the game, and I didn't have this spoiled for me. Thankfully Cleavor is a bit of an idiot, and you can get him to run into the tree pretty much whenever you want. But I'm also an idiot because I didn't heal up Rowlet in between a couple of our fights, so Rowlet went down. But you're able to just run away from it momentarily to heal up without having to send in another Pokemon. Since I didn't really know what I was doing in this fight, it took me about 7 minutes, but it was still my first try. With that, we got the Insect Plate from Cleavor. The next day, I decided to do a bunch of side quests, and about a half hour later, I went for the next mission. Totally not Commander Mars comes to the commander, letting us know that there's an issue in the Crimson Mirelands. But before this, Akari wants to have another battle. She is Mime Jr., which is one-shot by the roundest of boys, and then Pikachu, who is also one-shot by Leaf Blade, being not nearly as much of an issue as the first time fighting her. This battle distracted me from the mission, I guess, because instead of going to the Crimson Mirelands, I actually went back to the Obsidian Fieldlands, catching a bunch more Pokemon. And thankfully I did, because this happened. Yep, another shiny on day 1. I can easily say this has never happened to me while playing a Pokemon game. Sure, I may have already found a shiny Zubat before in another game, but this was still wild to me. I literally spent about another hour after that in the Obsidian Fieldlands for seemingly no reason. I guess I just wanted to explore a bit more, but I got to 4th star expedition member before going to the Crimson Mirelands. I met with Kalaba and then had a little battle with Volo. He only had a level 22 Togepi and Gibble, which were both easily disposed of. Kalaba tells us some people stole something from her monument, which when we try to find them, we get jumped. We get jumped by a group of trainers, one of them wanting to fight us, sending out a Toxicroak, which knocks me into the red immediately. Thankfully, my retaliatory air slash was able to take it out in one hit, and thankfully that was her only Pokemon, and the other two decided they didn't want the smoke. While I was catching things in the Mirelands, I had a space-time distortion swallow up the Yanma I was about to catch, and was trying to figure out what the heck was going on. I then got jumped by 3 Eevees and a Porygon, and was able to catch them all. Space-time distortions are a bit scary, with a stage 1 Pokemon being your only option, because everything in here is either rare or strong, or both. When I got back to town a while later, I decided to check out the move tutor, where I was now able to learn Psycho Cut and Shadow Claw. I thought this was pretty neat, and Psycho Cut would prove to be some good type coverage against the poison type matchup. A long while later, I came around to fight Ursaluna, who was in a bit more of a tame frenzy than Cleavor was. We got the Earth Plate from Ursaluna after a quick couple Leaf Blades to the chops. After we head back to town, Arezu goes missing, and we have to track her down with Ursaluna, who becomes the new ride Pokemon. Once finding her, we then have a showdown with the frenzied Lilligant, who has a new form in this region. Having a lot of playtime in Dauntless, these very Monster Hunter / Dauntless-like boss battles were pretty easy to get on the first try. I did get hit a few times here, but more due to impatience than anything. Defeating her gives us the Meadow Plate, and this is where I stopped on day 1 of my Legends Arceus journey, 13 hours into the challenge. At the start of day 2, I caught up Pokemon for about an hour, got research rank 5, and headed back to the village. It was now time to head to the Cobalt Coastlands, where we would be graced by another battle with Irida. This time, she comes at me with not only Glaceon, but having an Eevee in the battle at the same time. The Eevee is only level 15, but still kinda cheap to have a 2v1. Thankfully, Rowlet outspeeds and was able to take down Glaceon in one hit. After this, since we had a new area to explore, I went and caught a bunch of things, of course. After a while, I met up with Polina of the Pearl Clan, who was looking after 2 Growlithe. Irida wanted us to get her to do her job properly, but she said that would be hurting one of the poor Growlithe, which we then have to think of something else to do then. After a lot of catching random stuff, I was able to get research rank 6 to get myself some Ultra Balls. At this point, I also had a level 53 Rowlet, by the way. I caught a lot of stuff, and then I went and met with Iskon, a kind of weird guy who is a bit afraid of Dusclops. He helps us make food for Basculegion, who is going to be able to help us get to Firespit Island, where we are supposed to look into getting a new noble Pokemon there, because this region is lacking a noble Pokemon right now. Once we get the food for Basculegion, he gives us the Water Plate. But as we're talking, the thieves from earlier came back, and they stole one of the Growlithes. So I do the only logical thing and waste a bunch of time catching more Pokemon. We climb up to the volcano on Firespit Island, and instead of melting on the spot, somehow we're able to survive up here. And for some reason, one of the thieves has an Abomasnow on top of this volcano, breaking all sense of logic. I was able to one-shot it pretty easily, and thankfully it's a slow Pokemon. Because it's an ice type, it would have been an issue otherwise. We also have to fight the thief with the Toxicroak, and I was able to one-shot them because I have Psycho Cut, which is 4 times super effective now. However, we had to face off with the leader of the bunch this time as well, who leads with a Rhydon. Of course, that's not a real issue, but the real issue is the Gengar, who makes us drowsy and was able to one-shot my Rowlet then with Venoshock. I tried again right away anyway, and this time her Venoshock did only half damage, even though the first one wasn't a crit and one-shot me. This is because Venoshock now actually doubles damage against any status condition and not just poison, something I didn't even realize until looking back at this footage. But because I have Psycho Cut and this time I wasn't one-shot, I was able to take out Gengar. I was afraid for a little bit that a lot of grinding would be necessary. But moving on, we watch an Arcanine evolve and then get frenzied right before our eyes. So we then had to battle him. Here's where I could lie and say that this fight was first try, but he did wipe me out a couple of times. But this was mainly because I was too scared to send Rowlet in, knowing that Arcanine would probably one-shot him. So I didn't battle with it for the first few fights and relied solely on myself. But I didn't know its Hisuian form was also part rock type, which made Leaf Blade neutral, and I somehow outspeed it, so once I realized that, I was able to take down Arcanine pretty easily. easily. And we get the fire plate here. After we wrap that up, some new things happen in town, and after exploring, we talk to the commander, and he wants us to quell another noble's frenzy. But before we head out of town, Adaman wants to battle us, and show his snooty underling Melly what the Galaxy Core was capable of. Needless to say, a Leafeon is a bit of a better matchup than a Glaceon. Before I headed to the next objective, there was a mass outbreak that spawned, and what do you know, I found this. Shiny Barboach, who I quickly turned into Wilbur the Wishcash. A while later, I then went to the Coronet Highlands, where I would of course catch a bunch more random things before progressing the story, as you do in this game. Melly is kind of dumb and wants to battle us with a Skuntank, but we're fine. Once I'm done getting sidetracked and catching a bunch of things, we get about halfway up the mountain, where one of the clan members, Ingo, wants to fight with us. Ingo is similar to us in that he woke up not really sure if he was supposed to be in this world, but he had wanted us to try and help jog his memory. So to this point, I had not really used items in battle, and his Gliscor was making me try it, because it has Quick Attack and Poison Jab, proving to be a bit of a deadly combo. Looking back at the footage, I realized I could have crit farmed here when using Ox powers, but I decided to grind up a bit instead, so I caught and fought a bunch of stuff literally everywhere, and was able to achieve rank 7 of the Pokedex in this time. And I did a bunch of grinding after that as well, and using up all of my XP candies until I was level 69, I tried the battle again. After a couple tries, I was able to get past the Gliscor, but his last Pokemon was a Tangela, who knew Ancient Power. Thankfully, it didn't kill me, and I was able to one-shot it. Defeating him gives us access to Sneasler, another ride Pokemon, and honestly, this is probably my preferred one to walk around on. Gives you the ability to climb up walls and stuff, is faster than walking speed, but isn't too fast like Weirdeer. Another batch of catching stuff later, I then went to the quest objective where Melly wanted to battle us again. Only this time, it's not just Skuntank. He has not one, not two, but 3 poison types. Kill me. This battle was definitely not first try, but thankfully I didn't have to grind a ton before retrying this fight. There was just a lot of RNG involved. All I really needed was for either Zubat or Skorupi to not be interested in doing anything for a turn or two while I dealt with the Skuntank, and then I was able to take them out accordingly. When you get that battle out of the way, we are able to face off with the frenzied Electrode. This fight is a bit of a bullet hell, but luckily for me, I fought against way worse bullet hells in Dauntless and was able to take out Electrode on first try. This could have gone rather poorly, but it was alright. Once we got back to town, we were given the task of quelling the final frenzied noble, Avalugg, but not before Akari wanted another battle. Thinking about it as I was watching it back, there was a real chance that I could have been soft locked here. Her Saravia knows Quick Attack, so it gets a free hit in, and then Brave Bird almost knocks me out. But thankfully, I was able to get a roost in before Pikachu, who didn't KO me. I'm fairly certain it could have, but hey, not complaining, first try. From here we went to the Alabaster Icelands, where of course I would catch a million more Pokemon before the next objective. I kinda figured some ice type was about to clap my cheeks, and I was right. But it wasn't just one ice type, it was 2. See, the Pearl Clan guy here has a Frostlass and a Glalie, who in my first fight with him, I was outsped by both, dying immediately. So I was like, well, I guess I'm going to level 100. So I did quite a bit of grinding, getting my research rank to 8. I caught pretty much everything everywhere in the Alabaster Icelands, which prompted me to spend like an hour emptying out my pastures, which is what finally made me realize that releasing Pokemon gave you the materials to increase your Pokemon's effort levels. I maxed out all of Rowlet's effort levels and then literally grinded for about 5.5 hours before trying Garrick again. I outspeed him this time, and I realized that Frostlass was only level 24. I grinded to level 84 just to do a double battle with a level 48 and a level 24, and still almost lost. But hey, I survived Glalie's turn, and I was able to one-shot it, which in hindsight I should probably have killed the Glalie first, but whatever, it's done. Once that's done, we have to chase around one of the clan members on a Braviary. She leads us to Snowpoint Temple, and after solving some puzzles and catching an Alpha Giga Chad, we reach the top of the temple where we fight Sabi. Going into this fight blind, it was absolutely terrifying to walk into because she uses Rhyperior, Electivire, and Magmortar, and I was like, oh god, I'm in danger. But I outspeed, so I one-shot the Rhyperior, but Electivire paralyzes me, allowing Magmortar to get in 2 flamethrowers. Thankfully, Magmortar and Electivire can just sorta do nothing for their turns, so with Electivire doing nothing for a while, I was able to take them out on the first try. But that could have been really bad. I was starting to fear for the challenge's possibility because of this battle. But right after that, we have to fight Braviary to prove ourselves to it. Thankfully, it's not able to one-shot me, and we take it out in 2 turns. And now we can fly on Braviary and have our fight with Avalugg. So here again, I was incorrect in assuming that it would be a bad idea to battle Avalugg because we actually have a super effective move against it. So I wiped on the fight because I didn't do the Pokemon battle portion again. But once I started using Rowlet, I was able to take it out. So after quelling Avalugg, the last noble, we've obviously saved the world. I mean, of course not. So the rift in the sky starts freaking out, turning the sky red, and the commander thinks we had something to do with it. So he outcasts us from the expedition team for some reason. Side note, by the way, I loved the music during this point of the game. But because we're outcast, we ask the clan leaders of the Obsidian Fieldlands for help, and they deny us. So Volo comes to the rescue and takes us to the ancient retreat. Adaman and Irida tell us that they want to help, but only one of them would be able to, since they'd likely be discovered by the Galaxy team if they were to both help us. So here's where the choice comes in: Diamond versus Pearl. The correct choice here was Diamond, obviously. Alright, well, I chose Diamond because it was my first of these two games, but I honestly liked Irida's character a bit better. We're told we need to go to the homes of the Lake Guardians for their help in building the red chain to bind the world together. Through this, we catch some alphas, do some tests from the Guardians, and we forge the chain. Once we've done so, we head back to the Galaxy offices, where we learn the commander has gone crazy and is trying to fight a Pokemon that was spotted in the rift. We make it past the worst security guard of all time, only to find the man who made us dumplings this entire time standing in our way, wanting to battle us. His Miss Magius knew a rock-type move for some reason, but I was able to Agile Roost and take it out. Then was Sneasler, who quick attack Dire Clawed me. However, I just wanted to take it out and use Psycho Cut, hoping his next Mon wasn't super effective. It was Gardevoir, who could have been scary, but it wasn't a huge issue. And his last Pokemon was the Giga Chad, who we were able to easily take out with an Air Slash. With that out of the way, we are free to head up to the temple to show down with the commander. He leads with Braviary, who unfortunately is able to hit me for half my HP with Air Slash. But thankfully his next Pokemon is Golem, who missed a rock slide on the switch-in. Agile Roost Leaf Blade to take it out. Next is Snorlax, who thankfully doesn't have any super effective moves. And his final Mon was Clefable, who I was incredibly happy to see. Even with Calm Mind and having lowered defense, it doesn't even do that much. He then grovels at our feet while we summon the mighty Dialga. We use the red chain, and it breaks. Well, time to fight Dialga. I was able to use some agile moves to whittle it down to about a quarter. Then I was able to catch it in the first Ultra Ball I threw. Then through the rift comes Palkia, who for some reason looks more menacing than Dialga, so we have to vacate the premises until we have a better plan. We get in contact with Leon, who helps us get a special ore, but where we have to get it, we have to fight the leader of the thieves again. Her Gengar could have easily been an issue, but it seemed like it didn't even know Venoshock anymore, so we were able to easily take it out. We get the ore, and with that and the broken red chain, we're able to make perhaps the coolest Pokeball ever created. It's like the Cherish Ball on steroids. Then we go up to fight Palkia, which thankfully this isn't an actual battle with our Dialga, otherwise we would have failed here. But it then transforms and becomes part Arceus for some reason. I almost calmed it down on the first try until my stupidity got the better of me. With it reeling from our battle, we throw the totally not a Master Ball and save the world. So with that, the credits roll and I was able to beat Pokemon Legends Arceus with only a level 88 Rowlet in 38 hours and 17 minutes. Could have been faster, but it was my first playthrough. Oh, wait, let me get this. Hello? Wait, what do you mean I'm not done yet? So your ultimate goal of this game that Arceus gave you was to meet all Pokemon, and it means all of them in the Pokedex, which we hadn't done just yet. I did have 200 Pokemon registered in the Pokedex, but I was still missing a few, including the post-game legendaries. And we also have to track down the rest of the plates that we don't have. One of those is from the commander, who thankfully wasn't much more of a challenge than the first time we battled it. Another plate you get from catching the Lake Trio, and just before I was done doing that, I found this. Spooky. After catching the final of the Lake Trio, we get their plate. In the Cobalt Coastlands, we find Heatran. In Electrode's arena, we find Cresselia, who was a pain in the ass, I might add. In the Coronet Highlands, we found another birb, who we would sacrifice to the Pokedex to get a Decidueye. And after that, I found this. A shiny tree. And in the temple we find the Regigiga. And after that I made it to Pokedex rank 9. With that I had all of the plates as well, so I would go to the top of the Temple of Sinnoh, where after helping us through all of that, Volo becomes the bad guy. And he is actually the bad guy of this challenge, because his team was kind of a nightmare. At level 93, I did not one-shot his Togekiss, and I wouldn't even two-shot it, so I pumped up Round Boy with the steroids until he was level 100. I tried many times to get through this battle battle with what I had at my disposal, but it wasn't happening. I felt like maybe it could have been possible, but it would have needed to take a lot more careful planning or at least a good bit of luck. You see, he has Arcanine, Roserade, and Togekiss, all of which have a stab bonus super effective moves against me, so any one of them had a chance to be a threat, depending on the order he chose. After grabbing all of my Ox items and trying again, it only went marginally better. So after a while, I was able to get the God Run where I got past Togekiss, but I only had 86 HP going into a blind Pokemon, and it was a Lucario. It used a Bullet Punch and then set up a Bulk Up, even after healing a close combat later, and I was dead. Pain. So after finally getting past Togekiss and still not being able to win, I decided to go back to town. I bought the recipes for all of the Ox items, where I just now learned that Ox Power Guard was a thing, so it could take me 2 turns to set up a Power Guard and Evasion instead of 3 turns. And this ended up being all of the edge I really needed. A few attempts later, I got the real God Run. He leads Spiritomb, I use Ox Evasion, and he hits me. I use Ox Power Guard, then one-shot it with Leaf Blade. In comes Arcanine, it hits me, and I one-shot it with Leaf Blade. In comes Roserade, it misses from Ox Evasion, and I decided to heal up and re-Ox Power Up. I just needed it to miss, and it did. I took it out, then we had Togekiss. I Air Slashed, he missed, which gave me 2 turns in a row. I think part of the reason this was even possible is that Air Slash is a high-speed move, which made those 2 turns in a row possible. I was able to take it out while being at full HP. In comes Lucario. He Bullet Punches into a Crunch for some reason. I Ox Power Guard and Roost, and he Bullet Punches into close combat. I then Air Slash him for the one-shot, and I still didn't know what the final Pokemon was. Maybe if I paid more attention I would have known, but it was a Garchomp. Of course, it was a Garchomp. But thankfully, and by a literal miracle, I was somehow able to get 2 turns in a row against it by using Air Slash into a Leaf Blade. I finally defeated Volo after hours of attempts. But unfortunately, we weren't done yet. Immediately following our battle, Volo summons Giratina. Thankfully, Shadow Force doesn't do a lot of damage. It was annoying to miss a bunch though. I power guarded up and was able to out-roost it pretty easily, running it out of power points. Then I was able to clean up Giratina once he wasn't obscured anymore. And alright, we're finally done. Oh god no, there's more. Giratina then goes into Origin form. So I basically have to fight 8 fully evolved and legendary Pokemon in a row without fainting. Based on this battle, I'm pretty sure this would be impossible if you were to try to do a no items run with Rowlet. Considering it took a whole ton of luck to even get to this point with Ox powers and healing, I think it would be impossible. If you're able to do it without items in battle, I'll personally give you a piece of candy. But this would be basically the same strategy, just out heal until it runs out of Shadow Force PP, but I was actually able to get lucky and hit it through the Obscure. And after taking out that absurd lineup of 8 Pokemon in a row, there can be no doubt that Rowlet is indeed the best Pokemon of all time. Once we defeat Volo, we get the Azure Flute, but Arceus wasn't kidding when they said to seek out all Pokemon, so we can't summon it just yet. We first have to deal with the Weather Trio. Let me just say, these were genuinely some of the worst experiences I've ever had in a Pokemon game, and leave it at that. But hey, it was worth it I guess. After I caught Landorus, this happened. Look at the little danger noodle. And while I was out looking for wisps, I found Giratina's hiding spot to catch it. And then a while later, this happened. Fishy. Just after that it started thunderstorming, so it was time to catch Thundurus. And then while I was there, I caught Manaphy and Fione. After them, I caught Shaman, who wasn't necessary. And a bit later, it was time for Tornadus, who was hanging around a bunch of Glalie, who dealt more damage than Tornadus itself. And then, on my way to a mass outbreak, I was trying to catch another Rotom and a Alpha Mismagius. Because I was busy with that, I didn't even notice this guy's sound effect come in. If this was the Haunter, I would have literally had no idea that there was a shiny here. But thankfully Graveler is a bit obvious. But after a few more Pokedex filling things, I realized here is where the Rowlet only run and pretty much any run trying to 100% the game with just a single Pokemon would end. You see, for Thundurus, Landorus, and Tornadus, you have to complete their Pokedex entries to progress the Pokedex to the max. Obviously you can't just catch more of them being that they're legendaries, so this means you have to use them in battle. Or you have to plan around this fact because you could theoretically watch them use all their moves enough times when you battle them to get a complete dex entry without having to use them yourself. Something I didn't know to do given that I hadn't played the game yet. But even if you plan around those three, there's one other roadblock. Two other roadblocks actually. Those being Basculegion and Weirdeer. To get a Basculegion, you have to have a Basculin take a bunch of recoil damage. And to get a Weirdeer, you have to have a Stantler use an agile style Psy-Shield bash 20 times. For whatever reason, Game Freak absolutely loved weird evolution methods in this game, but you cannot catch either of these two in their own battles. They don't appear anywhere on the map. Not only is having a random wild Pokemon use an agile style move unlikely, but for Basculin you would have to be healing a wild Basculin with perhaps a type that is weak to water for it to take more recoil damage. Maybe Basculegion is possible. I'm actually not sure if Heal Pulse is in the game or not, but it's not possible with only a Rowlet, and Weirdeer looks to be impossible in any solo run. So can you make it to the final boss of the game with using only a Rowlet in battle? No. So I reluctantly used the 5 aforementioned Pokemon to complete the task required. Once I completed the Pokedex entries for the Weather Trio, I was able to catch Enamorus. And while I was out killing stuff with Stantler, I found this. Another Zubat. Fantastic. After a couple more hours, I was finally able to get Basculegion and Weirdeer, and by that point, I only needed one more Pokemon. Spiritomb. Does anyone actually like these things where they make you chase down over 100 things across the map? Like, I was trying to do it all on my own and not use a guide for this, but after like 4 hours of flying around the same area, not finding one of the 2 things I needed, I gave up. And the fact that it still took me about 2 hours while watching a walkthrough guide trying to find the like 8 wisps I still needed should tell you how stupid these things are. Once I got all the wisps, it was finally time to catch Spiritomb. And that meant my Pokedex was finally complete, I guess except for Darkrai, but he doesn't count, and it was finally time to meet God. The real question, how does God stack up against the perfect Pokemon, Rowlet? Well, considering that Judgment is super busted in this game, and its AI will always change it into an Ice type that has a 4 times super effective 100 base power move on a Pokemon with 120 base special attack. Of course Rowlet wins, what the hell are you talking about? Alright, well I'll be honest, if the goal here were to beat an Arceus in a Pokemon battle, then I would have failed here. It will always move first, it will always use Stab Judgment, that kills without a crit. But thankfully you don't actually have to battle Arceus with your Pokemon here. But this was the only battle that I used the save progress feature for, simply because I had to be on Twitch in like 20 minutes after this, so I needed to hurry up and finish. But seeing what I saw from the fight, I probably would have been able to do it from start to finish without wiping in only a few more attempts. But I was able to beat Pokemon Legends Arceus and tame God himself in 58 hours and 12 minutes, while almost being able to only use a Rowlet in battle. I'm glad that all of the major battles and the entire main story of the game is achievable without having to use any other Pokemon though. And why would I? Because Rowlet is obviously just the best. But I hope you enjoyed watching. If you are somehow at the end of this video, even if you have never hit the like button on a YouTube video in your entire life, I would ask you to hit that like button for me. You don't know how much your one like means to me. Just do it. If you like Pokemon, like the video, it'll tell me that I should do some more Pokemon content. I did do a Rowlet only run of Sword and Shield already, and if you want to see that, I'd be more motivated if I just see those likes. I'm working on a Pokemon ROM hack with Dauntless Behemoths in it as well, and if you want to see that sooner, hit the like button. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. But that'll be it from me. I have been Trevor, I go by the Mr. Trails, and I will catch you guys next time.